First of all, good morning and welcome. My name is Pat McQueenie and I'm the president of the Eden Prairie Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you all for attending our today's fourth B.E.E.R program of the year. And we want to welcome all of our members from the Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Edina, and Richfield chambers to Eden Prairie and Olympic Hills. And a quick thank you to Olympic Hills for their service today in hosting us.
Welcome. My name is Lori Severson. I'm president of the Edina Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our tremendous sponsors for today's event. Joining us today, we have Health Source Chiropractic, Memorial Blood Centers, Promotions Select, RBCU, Richfield Bloomington Honda, and Excel Energy. Please be sure to stop by their tables, introduce yourselves, and take a look at the information that they have. These are amazing companies and they've been so supportive of our beer events this year that we want to take this opportunity to thank them. At this time, yes, thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Angie Schaefbauer, president of the Richfield Chamber of Commerce. Angie.
Thanks, everybody. I am Angie with the Richfield Chamber. I'm going to speak really slowly so Randy can enjoy some lunch. He's been entertaining us the whole time. So, November is designated as Movember, where many men go without shaving to raise awareness for men's health, and particularly my 15-year-old son gets to take a break from his once-a-month shaving routine to grow his beard. So we wanted to bring a speaker to our beer events that would be able to talk about men's health, but also share with you his own stories about how everyone can make a difference in their community. He may have a few good newsroom stories to share as well. Randy Shaver joined KARE 11 in 1983 as the weekend sportscaster. He started the Prep Sports Extra in September of '84, and that show is still on the air today, celebrating his 31st season this past fall. He was named sports director in 1994, and Randy won a regional and national Edward R. Murrow Award for sports reporting in '06, and in 2012 was named the Evening News co-anchor. He was inducted into the Minnesota Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2004. He is a Hodgkin survivor and the Randy Shaver Cancer Research and Community Fund founder, right? Okay. And he's raised almost $5 million for cancer research and patient aid in Minnesota. And Randy's family has great names because they all start with R. They are. That's excellent. So Randy's married to Roseanne, and together they have two boys, Ryan, who's 24, and Rob, who's 21. Please join me in welcoming Randy Shaver.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here today. I really do appreciate it. It's always nice to have a free lunch in my business. Just to tell you a little bit about my fund. We raise money for cancer research and patient aid in the state of Minnesota. This started in the mid-90s when Steve Jordan, the former Viking tight end, retired. And the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society came to me and asked me if I would take over Steve's golf event. And I said yes. And from there, we had a partnership with those folks for, I'd say, about 10 years, somewhere in that area. And it was a great partnership. They do great work. And we raised money through a golf event for all of their various things that they do. After one of our best years, where we raised over $400,000 for one event, which was the golf event, they notified us that they were not interested in doing golf anymore. Basically, they dropped us. And so I said to my wife, well, I guess we're done. And my wife said, are you crazy? No, we're not done. We'll do this ourselves. And I go, what are you talking about? She goes, we'll become a 501(c)(3). We'll do this ourselves. It was the best thing that happened to our organization. And the reason I say that is that now we control exactly where the money goes. We know exactly who's getting the money, why they're getting it, and we can tell the people who give us money where it goes. That is powerful stuff for us. And it should be powerful stuff for the people who give money. Because I think we all trust that the organizations we give money to do a great job, and they all do. But we're a little bit different. Obviously, we're not as big, but we will tell you exactly where that money goes. You can go on randyshavercancerfund.org, look at our website, and see all the researchers we supported in the last year, and exactly what their projects are and what they do. That's one of the differences that we have compared to other organizations. And it's the difference that I love the most, to be honest with you. Because when you go to ask people for money, it's a tough deal, you know? But I think people want to know that that money is going someplace where they can somehow track it, keep an eye on it, know that it's going where it should go. So that's part of one of the things that makes us different than everybody else. And I got to be honest with you, we're a seed fund organization. So what we do is we give researchers at the University of Minnesota or Mayo Clinic or UMD who have an idea the money to try that idea. So let's say you're a researcher, you've got this great idea that can solve breast cancer. And you bring it to us, so we have a board of sponsors and doctors, and our doctors on our board help guide where that money goes. They will say, yes, they're ready. They'll say, no, they're not. They'll say they can get the money somewhere else. They'll say, give them half, they can get the other half from some. I mean, they're very good at helping guide us so that when we give money, we know the money is it's the best that we can do for that researcher. But they come to us and they say, I've got this idea. We do not pay salaries. We don't pay a researcher's salary. We give them the money, the tools to do their research. So, you're going to strike out in baseball terms once in a while. And you know what? It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Because then that researcher goes back to work and says, that didn't quite work. I need to tweak it, do this, do that. And hopefully they come back to us again and say, I think we've got this right. We're on track. There are times when we hit home runs. And we've hit a few. And I'll tell you about one. About 7, 8 years ago, we had a researcher, this little guy, come to us who was about 28 years old, and he had this incredible idea about brain cancer. And he needed the money to test his idea, to try it. So he made this presentation, knocked our socks off, and the doctor said, he's on to something, let's give him the money, let him try. We gave him the money, and away he went. You may have seen the stories, maybe 5, 6 years ago, we did on Batman the dog. Batman the dog. John took his research to dogs, brain cancer in dogs, and solved the problems in dogs that obviously then moved to humans. And now his idea, which was from an idea to a petri dish to clinical trials, we funded John all the way through. And the work that he did is out there today helping people. So proud of that. But here's the sad part. John Olfest died in January of 2013 from melanoma at the age of 35 with 2 little kids. It just goes to show you that cancer doesn't care who you are, what you do, who you love, or where you are in your life. It doesn't care. It took one of the greatest researchers at the University of Minnesota. It took one of my friends. It was heartbreaking. His clinic, his lab is still working. Those guys that are in his lab are carrying on his work. And they come to us every year, and we fund them every year because they continue to make breakthroughs. But it just goes to show you that none of us, no matter what we do, can hide from it. If I were to ask you a couple of questions, and all you have to do is raise your hand. Have you had cancer, or an immediate family member or an extended family member? Raise your hand. How about a friend or a coworker? Keep your hands up. Look around the room. That's crazy. Now, I did this same thing to Eastview Apple Valley football players the week before their tackle cancer game. And I had those football players stand up. They're 16 to 18 years old. And I asked them the same question. Family members. I asked them friends. I asked them coaches. And basically, they all sat down. And I said, look around the room. You're 16 to 18 years old. Is this okay? Are you okay with this? Because, see, we're all older, so we kind of have accepted it to some degree. And I said, it's not okay. It should never be okay, especially for you in your young life to have to deal and know that. That's why doing nothing is not an option. It just isn't. It's not an option anymore. We can't sit around and wait for things to happen. We have to help try to make things happen. Whether it's my organization or someone else's, it doesn't really matter. We have to do something. It's taken too many people. I lost my mother this summer. 12 years she fought head and neck cancer. And folks, it was on the outside, not the inside. Awful. No one in their life deserves that. No one. The cancer was on the outside of her neck and her head. Turned her into a recluse. She never left her house. It was awful. And the University of Iowa folks did everything they could. No one should have to go through that. No one. I've seen enough of it. I'm a cancer survivor. I did 5 months of chemo and a month of radiation. I'm one of the lucky ones. But I think a lot of us know people who didn't make it. So, what are our options? What can we do? Well, maybe it's you go to the tackle cancer football game on a Friday night and you drop a $5 bill in the bucket. At least you're doing something, right? And that's kind of the attitude right now for my organization. Doing nothing is not an option. I'm so blessed to have so many people involved in what we do and believe in what we do. And I'll tell you how this thing has grown. You know, it used to be just a golf event. We'd get everybody together the first Monday in June. And then my wife and I went to a Tom Lehman event downtown. Remember when Tom Lehman used to do the thing for, I think, CCRF? And on Sunday, he did a deal at the Hilton. And we went one time, we were invited, and they had, Chicago was playing, and Vince Gill, and all. It was just awesome. It was great. And I remember sitting there, my wife turns to me and says, we can do this. I go, are you crazy? She goes, no, we can do this. I go, no, we can't. She goes, yes, we can. And you know what? The next year, we did a Sunday night event. Obviously, we didn't have Vince Gill in Chicago, but we brought in some pretty decent acts along the way of this evolution of what we do on a Sunday night. And this last year at the downtown, we had 450, 500 people. What we learned was this. Golfers love to golf, but they don't spend money. If you get the golfer's wife to come to an event the night before, genius. Genius. And so we have a Sunday night event where we celebrate the things we've done throughout the year. We talk about where our money goes, and we have auctions, and we invite the golfers and the sponsors to bring their wives. It's their chance to dress up, come to an event. Oh my gosh, it's great. So that's evolved. But then what happened was, 4 years ago, I invited a friend of mine to my event, Dave Nelson, the football coach at Minnetonka. Dave is a prostate survivor, but at the time was going through all of his issues. Scary stuff. So, as a friend, I invited Dave and his wife Maureen to just come to our Sunday event at Rush Creek and see what we do. And just basically my thought process was give Dave and his wife a chance to get away from everything he's going through and have a night where they can have something to eat, meet some people as our guests. Little did I know that that would lead to Tackle Cancer. Because what Dave did was, 2 months later, he called me out of the blue and said, hey, Randy, my football team is moving some rock at this housing project, and the team decided they wanted to donate the $5,000 they were going to make on that Saturday to your foundation as opposed to our football program. I said, you gotta be kidding me. He goes, no. He goes, I talked to the kids about it. They all said, let's do it. So I went down there on that Saturday morning. I have this great picture at home in my house of all these people, just filthy dirty. And of course me, just, you know, right in the middle, clean as a whistle. But they gave us the money. Then, in January of that next year, after the football season was over, I get a phone call from Dave. And Dave says, the MFCA, the Minnesota Football Coaches Association, had a meeting, and we want to do something for your fund. Not sure exactly what we want to do, but we want to do something. So we had a meeting in two, and it turned into Tackle Cancer. I can't even tell you how it has changed the landscape of my foundation. I said to Dave, if you guys make $10,000, I'll be thrilled. Because the idea was to have a bucket. As you go into a football game, every team would host a game. It's a great idea. Simple, doesn't have to be complicated, whatever. Totally on them. This was their idea. They came to us. I said, great. They made $121,000 their first year. Do you imagine giving the check to us to be able to then give it to the researchers and not have to say no to some guys who bring their ideas to us, who might someday down the road save your life? Because you never know. And not have to say no. It was unbelievable. 2013, they do it again. This time they get all the colleges in Minnesota on board. The MIAC, the Northern Sun, and the Gophers. They raised $190,000. 2 years, over $300,000 that goes to cancer research and patient aid in Minnesota. One simple little idea. This fall, in fact this week, they just surpassed $200,000 with 50 schools still left to report their money. In 3 years, this simple little idea has turned into $500,000 for cancer research and patient aid. All because, I like to think, I extended an invitation to a friend who was going through cancer, who sat in there and said, God darn it, I want to do something. That's where it starts. What's happened now is that Tackle Cancer has blossomed into Takedown Cancer. The Minnesota Wrestling Coaches Association came to us 2 years ago and said, we want to do something. Okay. They made $25,000 last year. They're back at it again this year. This last, about a month ago, I spoke to the Girls Hockey Association. They want to do something. See where I'm going? What's happening? This is not us. We don't approach anybody. These are people saying, we want to do something. We want to help. Now, we have a thing called Million Kicks for Cancer, where all these little kids in the northwest suburbs in this taekwondo school all come on a Saturday morning and do 1,000,000 kicks. They count them. They raised $30,000. We have a guy out in White Bear who does a cribbage tournament, a golf tournament, 4 or 5 different things. They raised $20,000 last year. It's amazing. This community is unbelievable. But the point I'm trying to make is all it took was one little idea. It was extending the hand to someone and say, hey, you know, come see what we do. You know, for me personally, it was just to say to Dave, hey man, you know, take a break from all the stuff you're going through and come spend a night where you can enjoy some company with people that can relate to what's going on with you. In January, our fund will be handing over the most money we've ever given. Our calendar year is from July to June. So in July of 2013 to June of this year, we will be handing over $505,000 to the University of Minnesota, to the Mayo Clinic, and to UMD, researchers for all sorts of cancer research. That's amazing money. And hopefully it will hit some home runs. We'll do some good things, because it's not just research that we do too. We also do patient aid projects. We do grief counseling. I'm telling you what, when this lady comes to our thing and asks for $5,000 to continue her child grief counseling for kids who've lost parents to cancer, you're in tears. We give her 10. We give her whatever she wants, because that's a part of the things that we don't normally think about. A few years ago, we funded music therapy at North Memorial. Most people don't think about what that is, but it's a person who goes around when people have dementia or whatever, sick with cancer, terminally ill, some of them, and they sing to them. When you sing to a dementia patient, sometimes music hits, without being corny, the right note. And they needed some money to keep their program started. We loved it. Now they fund it on their own. It's so important to them, they fund it on their own. And that's the hope when we give someone money, that they'll take that idea and make it more their own and continue to fund it. So we do across the board so many different things with one really central idea, and that's just to help the people in Minnesota with cancer issues. And that's it. It's pretty simple. I can't tell you how excited I'm going to be in January when we sit in that meeting. I know young Peggy's sitting over here because Mid-Country Bank's our bank, and they've been on board for a couple of years now. She knows, they see what we do. We're not going to have to say no to researchers, because we have the money and the resources to say yes. And that's really what it's all about. So that's what we do. That's who we are. We're not a big organization. We never claim to be. But what we do is we try to give the smart people in the room. And let me tell you, there's a lot of smart people in this state. We are so lucky to live in Minnesota. The University of Minnesota, Mayo Clinic. Are you kidding me? We should not have any issues finding the right person to help us with any issues that we have. Because if one person says they don't have the answer, are you kidding? Send them to the U. We do that all the time. Send them to Mayo Clinic. We'll find the answers. We're lucky in that way. So hopefully that's given you a kind of an overview of what we do. We're always looking for people that want to get involved in one way or another. If this is something up your alley, great. If not, take it, food for thought. But I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. It's a pretty passionate thing for me. You see, I'm on the other side. When you're on the other side, when you've been through it, you get it. I say to people all the time that it's a shame that it took cancer for me to get it. Because I was always one of those people, sad to say, when I saw someone who was sick and I put my head down. I wouldn't know what to say. Didn't know what to say. Now my head's up and I ask them, what's going on? To me, that's what being on the other side does. It gives you perspective about so many different things. And I feel like you gotta do something with it. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to do something with what we have, hopefully what we'll continue to have throughout the next few years to be able to fund the great, smart people in this state who are doing such an unbelievable job in finding cures for cancer, at least finding ways to treat people. I was just talking to this young lady right here who lost her mom to breast cancer. And she was in a clinical study back in the early 90s of a drug that's now everybody uses. But back then it was experimental. I mean, those drugs just don't appear out of thin air. There are researchers and hours of research behind all of those things that make them possible. And that's what we do. We try to give those people that opportunity to create those things to help us. Any questions? Now that I've overwhelmed you? Hi, Peggy. God, I love you. You're unbelievable.
But I think it's really important because this just blew me away. Can you tell people how much of every dollar goes to
Yep.
research?
90 cents of every dollar we raise. 90 cents. My wife is amazing. She gets everything donated. Her office is donated, her phones are donated, her computer's donated, everything is donated. 90 cents of every dollar. She just started taking a salary about 3 years ago. She makes $12,000. Her assistant makes a little bit more than she does. 2 people run our department. 90 cents of every dollar.
My husband was just finishing the chemotherapy on his head. When he had hair, it was red.
If it comes back, it might be a different color.
I don't think it's coming back. It's gone. But he served on the USS Hodgkin.
Yeah.
So we were at your station last year with the U.S. Minnesota crew.
Yeah.
If you ever want an autographed copy from Stan Kowalski, let us know. To crush your
Love it. Love it. Anything else? Anybody else? Wow. Yeah.
Does your charity handle requests from patients for support or assistance?
We do not. We do not. We don't do that because if we did that, it opens up a whole different. We are a research organization, and we are a patient aid project in which people that, for example, cancer camps. We support a number of different cancer camps for kids whose parents are, or they are, cancer patients. Those are the kind of things, as far as patient aid projects that we do. Yeah. Yeah.
If, with the events that you have, if you were ever looking for volunteers, how would someone go about doing that?
On our website, we have a place where if you're interested in being a volunteer, interested in being a sponsor, whatever, there's a place that you can go there and send them information. Yeah, we're always looking for that. Our golf event's a big deal every year. Takes a lot of people. It's a double shotgun. It's a monster task. And in a time and a climate right now where golf tournaments have kind of gone away, charity golf tournaments, ours is as strong as it's ever been. So yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Randy, you may want to mention your flyers.
Yeah, I do have some flyers and some cards up here with information if anybody's interested in grabbing that. Yeah.
Because you've been so successful here in Minnesota, have you thought about trying to reach out to other states to mimic what you've done here?
You know, I haven't. I mean, my boss at Channel 11 keeps telling me that the MFCA needs to take tackle cancer national, and I keep telling them I don't think that's really what they want to do. No, we really haven't. I mean, there's so many great organizations out there. There really are. I mean, you know, the short answer is no. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Is the golf tournament the only like event like that? Have you done like a walk or run?
We have a 5K, which we started a few years ago. Oh gosh, we'd love to have you come to the 5K. We started a 5K a couple years ago. It's our first venture into that. It's in August. All this information's on our website. We've done so many different things. I can't even tell you all the different events. We were out at Elko Speedway for 2 or 3 years doing events out there. And we've just, we're tied into a lot of different things. So yeah. Yeah, if you'd like to come run, we'd love to have you. Yeah.
Randy, first of all, thanks for your passion for what you do. My wife's a breast cancer survivor and personal health. It's commendable with you. I'm wondering, is there any way that you measure the effectiveness of your donations in terms of, I don't know, patients served, patients saved?
Well, we don't have exact numbers, but we do know that the researchers that are making a difference right now, like for example, John's research, I mean, it's now where people are actually benefiting from it. We've had a couple of other researchers who have done that work, and we've got a lot of them in progress right now. There's people that we've funded over the last 2-3 years. You know, once they start to get going on their projects, some of them don't necessarily need to come back to us because their projects are so good that the national people start to fund them. And that's when you really start to see things take off. So I can't really measure as far as people helped. I can tell you that Roseanne, personally, probably gets 2 to 3 calls a week from people who don't know where to go. I have to tell you, do I have time? Yeah. We need an advocate in this state for people who have been told there's nothing left to do. Because that's not necessarily true. And I'll give you a quick example, and then I know I'm done. Jay Olstead, who's a reporter at our station, his sister's a school teacher out in western Minnesota. Cancer. The doctor, and no offense to the doctor there, they said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. That's devastating when you have 2 young kids, you're 37 years old, and they didn't know what to do. And Jay came to me and said, who do you talk to? What can you do? I said, let's get a hold of Roseanne. So Jay's sister got a hold of Roseanne. Roseanne got her into the University of Minnesota to see the right people. And you know what? Right now she's cancer-free. Right now she's cancer-free. Now, we don't know if that's going to last because what she has is a very aggressive cancer. But for right now, in her life, she's cancer-free. And it boggles my mind that with all the resources we have in the state of Minnesota, that somebody can say there's nothing we can do if you just take it to the next level, and there's not a person there that can help guide people to that. So, I know I'm done. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you to Randy and everybody for coming out. One of the nice things when we made the invitation to have you here, we knew you'd do a great job with your presentation, but a week from today is Thanksgiving, and just a note of be thankful for what you have and take into account what others may be going through. And as we celebrate the holiday season, it's always a nice season of giving, and your message rings true, whether it's with cancer or other things in our communities. So thank you very much for the work that you've done. Let's give another round of applause.